Hi there, and welcome to the Multiply You podcast, where we showcase top experts in their space and reveal all the secrets you need to know to multiply you.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Austin Clark here, host of the Multiply You podcast. I'm very excited to be back with you today and very excited to have an incredible guest that you all will very much so want to listen to. It's something much like gas prices that is affecting everybody. And some of the things that she will share with us will help you in your business today. You'll be able to apply some of the principles that she'll talk about today to be more effective in your recruiting efforts. Before that, though, this episode, as they all are, it's brought to you by Moxie Pest Control. And we are growing like crazy. We felt very fortunate over the last few years to be doing that. We're very conscientious and aware that other businesses may not be having some of the same success or luck, if you will. Part of the key ways that we've been doing that is via acquisition. So we not only have been growing in Phoenix via acquisition, we've been doing it in Chicago, Minnesota, St. Louis, Kansas City, a lot of different places that we've got locations throughout the United States. The last stat I heard is that there's 28 or 29,000 pest control companies in the United States. New ones are entering the market every day, and old ones or current ones are exiting every day. And so if that's you or you know somebody, have them get in contact with me. I'd love to visit with them. They can email me at aclark@moxiepestcontrol.com directly, or they can call or text me on my cell. It's actually my cell, 480-254-9730. We have Teresa Mangano on the show today. She is an expert recruiter. Teresa has spent the last 8 years recruiting and finding great employees for great businesses. Teresa started in sales, realized how much she loved working with and helping people, and quickly figured out recruiting was the best of both worlds. Since then, she's held several leadership positions and is now recruitment and team development manager at Zoom Drain, an expert in drain and sewer company based in Philadelphia, in the Philadelphia area that's now franchising across the country. She likes nothing better than the feeling she gets when helping change the trajectory of someone's life with a great job offer. Since life isn't all about the job, she enjoys home improvement projects, swimming, time with family, and trying very hard to grow plants. Teresa, thank you so much for your time today. Welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Thank you for having me, and doing fantastic today. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you so much. So, kind of like I mentioned, like gas prices, I've kind of broken up the last couple of years in the pandemic, which was kind of the first year for me in my mind, and then post-pandemic. And I feel like the post-pandemic is a more difficult environment to navigate professionally than even the pandemic was. We now have inflation. We have people that are taking time to perhaps level up their careers by job hopping. It seems maybe the younger generation stays at jobs even shorter periods of time than they did before. What the heck is going on? And from your perspective, I have so many questions, and we kind of outlined a few that we'll talk about here, but as it relates to employment and recruiting, what are some of the things and thoughts that you have about what's going on today?
I think number one, that people are very clear on what they do and they don't want in their personal life and in their professional life. So to your point that people are leaving jobs faster than maybe they have in past years, pre-pandemic, you're correct. If they are in a job, it may only be a few days, may only be a few months. They're realizing that, maybe it's just not a good fit for them from a cultural perspective, from a work-life balance perspective, or just what they're physically doing every day. And they're quick to realize that and say, you know what, not for me. Let me find something that is going to be a better fit for me in my life. And I think it's a double-edged sword, right? As a human being, I think that's a great thing because you want to be happy and you want to, put positive energy out into the world. And if you're not really satisfied in your job, you're not doing that as much. As a recruiter, obviously, it's a little bit more difficult. But I think, it's a changing world, and we all have to adapt, and making sure that as a company, we are providing what employees need overall. And we're offering that, those possibilities to employees, and that life.
So the answer may be different for each individual applicant or individual, but what is it that employees want? Have you found, I mean, are there a couple of key common things that you found in your experience that everybody wants, or does someone that's in the field want something different than someone that's in the office, than someone that is a mid-level manager? Well, what is it that employees want?
Overall, employees want to be valued as a human being. Everyone's coming to work, they are contributing, to whatever their role may be, but they want to feel like they're appreciated for that contribution. And that is from I think your C-suite to your mid-level manager to your entry-level role, field, office, otherwise. People want to feel like, hey, so and so is glad that I showed up today, and I'm doing my best, and I'm raising my hand and saying, hey, I want more, I want to do this. And that's just a common human denominator. Everyone wants to feel like they're valued for their contribution. So that is the overriding, I think, factor. When people are not satisfied, that's the biggest contributing factor to it.
Do you know, Teresa, what the best companies in the world or in the home service space are doing to show appreciation? I feel like sometimes maybe executives or owners of companies that maybe are a little bit older than you or I might think, well, I'm paying you, and so be grateful for that and show up. But I mean, that is just the beginning. That's just to cover basic needs of a roof over your head and food on the table, sort of thing. What are some of the best companies in the world perhaps doing to express appreciation, or also what creative things have you seen companies do that have worked?
Yeah, I mean, we've all, I think, heard of, the companies, the Googles and all of that are providing ping pong tables and napping areas and things like that. And yes, that's great. Yeah, I would love a good nap, right, in the middle of the day. But reality kind of sets in at that point. But I think one thing, and here at Zoom Drain, we are particularly think it's very, very important to show that appreciation. And we have an engagement committee, an employee engagement committee, or event committee, however you want to call it. And it's really geared towards providing opportunities for employees to come together, to be appreciated, and to do something just fun. It fosters a team environment, and it does engage employees, especially when you start including their families. You get to know their spouses, their significant others, their children, and develop those relationships. So it goes deeper than a paycheck. And it should go deeper than the paycheck to those, higher level, maybe, C-suite people. Yes, you are providing a paycheck, but you're providing a paycheck for their job. And that covers the position, but it does not cover the human being. And that's where that development piece comes into play. You have to show, in my opinion, that you are thankful that they are there. Everybody wants to feel thanked, for coming in every day and putting forth all that effort. And just for us, that committee and doing those fun things, whether it's a financial seminar, because that's been requested. Maybe it is bowling. We've done that. We've had barbecues, here at our location in the Philadelphia area. And those things they're huge. They're fun, and they're really important.
Part of the company's culture, and you can really,
Yes.
I mean, between the hours of 9 to 5, I think that, not that people are different, but you can learn much more on a deeper, more intimate level about people before 9 or after 5 at barbecues or picnics or different events like you've described.
You can.
So Teresa, getting into kind of the nuts and bolts of recruiting with all of the experience that you have, what are the ABCs of recruiting? And we have some interesting bullet points here, but recruiting starts even before you start recruiting. And so how do you prepare to recruit?
I think you prepare by understanding your company. Every company has good points, has some maybe not so good points. So you need to be authentic at all times. And if you don't understand at the core root of it who you are as a company, you cannot put forth an authentic experience for a candidate. So if you, for instance, say, we have the best benefits out there, and when you kind of compare and contrast, maybe they're not the best benefits, that does speak volumes to candidates. So understanding your company, good, bad, ugly, all of it, and then being able to kind of craft your message to candidates so it's authentic, so it speaks to their needs, and so it's really capturing what candidates in the market are looking for. That's the number one first thing, is to figure that out and then kind of have that set.
Perfect. So know your company, know the company culture, perhaps even know a little bit about your competition and what's kind of being offered, and just kind of know what's happening and what's going on. What else do you do before you start recruiting?
Yeah, I think a big thing, and this is a little bit of a longer term, proposition, but having a really good career site. Candidates are all about research, and is this company a company that I'm going to be happy at, I'm going to flourish in? So having a career site that is very transparent and does give a candidate a good look at who you are is hugely, hugely important. Your rating on Indeed, on Glassdoor, those are really important. And again, being authentic, right? Every company, best companies in the world, they're still going to have some negative reviews, because it's people, it's people's experience. So you need to look at those too and kind of get a feel for, what are other people thinking about this experience? How was their previous interview, process? How was their experience with the company in general? And figuring out the other side of the equation. But having that great career site, web developer, if you have to hire one, it's worth the money. It's definitely worth the money, because that is your representation of the company, essentially. Before that candidate has spoken to anyone, that's what you're putting out there.
And one thought that came to mind is, it's kind of like social to me. I mean, if you don't have a good site, or it's fast, or it's attractive, or it looks good, then just like social, you'll just kind of keep scrolling past, because candidates, more than ever today, they have more options. It's not hard to get a job. Someone could resign at a job in the morning and start at one that same afternoon or evening.
Absolutely. And being able to, very visual. I'm a big believer in very visual websites. So it just kind of captures the attention, just like that social media post. You see this really impactful photo or video, and you just kind of stop and you do some research, or you just watch it. So you want to capture that feel of, wow, that's really cool. And then they can dig a little bit deeper into the company. So lots of pictures, videos, all of that stuff is really good to help candidates connect and kind of see themselves fitting into that company.
So talk to us, Teresa, about some of the do's and don'ts of recruiting. And I know that some of the do's at least relate to the employee value proposition.
Yes.
What is that? What does that look like? How do you communicate that to candidates?
So the employee value proposition, in a nutshell, is what you as a company are offering to your employees. What are they going to get out of this relationship with you? And it really should be connected to the mission statement, right? That should be a big piece of it, so that when customers hopefully are looking at your mission statement, candidates are looking at your EVP or employee value proposition, they match. They're not exact, because different propositions, but that they are connected. It's that same voice feel. So having one that is clearly communicated to employees is really, in my opinion, really very important. Having it on your website, kind of loud and clear, is great, because candidates can see immediately, hey, this is what this company is about. And then taking that and then creating an Indeed company page, a Glassdoor company page, and also putting information out there. Just to go back to a second for the career site, that's not a standalone. Your Indeed company page and your Glassdoor company page should mirror your careers page. So again, it's that transparency, it's that same voice throughout all messaging that candidates could be potentially looking at and hopefully are looking at.
And I think that we'll probably get to marketing efforts in a few moments, but it would make sense just as you're marketing to your customers, as you're marketing for your ideal candidates. I mean, there are a lot of outlets out there. There's Monster, there's Indeed, there's ZipRecruiter, you name it. You want those things to be the same or very similar on each one of those platforms. So there's not confusion in communication and messaging and copy and those sorts of things. We could probably spend hours and hours and hours on the don'ts of recruiting, and I'm sure you've probably seen it all. But what do we not do? One of the things that you mentioned was post and pray method. So that's not very effective then, you found in your experience. Is that right?
It's not, it's a part of your toolkit, right? Recruiting, you should have a toolkit. And the post and pray method I've seen for years, and it's not effective by itself. So you can't just put a job on Indeed, Career Builder, ZipRecruiter, Monster, and think, oh, we're done, call it a day. It's a living, breathing thing is recruiting. So, and it's a very personal experience. So recruiters and anyone that is recruiting should also be doing a multitude of other things, marketing efforts, which we'll talk about in a few moments, but also searching. Indeed has a really good resume feature, and I've definitely hired people using that. LinkedIn has a couple of recruiter subscription packages, some a little less expensive, some a little bit more expensive. That can be a great tool to find people, word of mouth, your referral program. Every company should have a referral program. It should be embedded in the fabric of the company, so everyone knows what it is, clearly communicated, and really just promoted as the thing to do, because it should be the thing to do. That's where companies typically get their best hires, is from a good, solid referral program. So be creative with that. You don't have to just say, okay, well, at 30 days, you get this much money, and at this point, you get this much money. Make it a competition, make it fun, have leaderboards, and, there's a lot that you can do with it that goes beyond, here's a check. So really involving your employees in that and making that a part of your culture is huge. There's a ton of things you can do. You can do mailers, you can get your marketing department to get mailers out to the community surrounding you. You can do geofencing. That's something that we are currently trying. Haven't gotten any results yet. We haven't started the campaign as of this second, but that's something that we're really excited to do. So just, you don't want to post and pray, but you do sometimes want to throw things at the wall to see what sticks, because
sure,
something that you think is absolutely crazy could be one of your best sources of people.
Yeah. And I really like the referral program. We've had good success with that at Moxie, and we've had to adjust it. We've had to either increase what we were looking to invest in that type of program. But one of the most recent times that we had the most success with that was we just kind of converted what we were willing to invest in it and made it paid time off. We made it PTO. And employees, for a moment, they went nuts over that. It's like, hey, getting paid to not work, I can sign up for that. That sounds pretty. That sounds pretty good. Yeah. And so that was a little tidbit of where we had some success. Mm-hmm. What are some other things that you've either seen that we should not think about doing, or maybe techniques that are less effective or just not a good idea?
I think the biggest thing that any company should not do is think that it's static. Recruiting is static. And just because they hired this position using this method, that's the go-to at this point. You always have to try different things, change your approach, change the job titles. Some job titles are going to capture more interest than others. One thing that pretty much every job posting board, because I do think you should still post jobs. I think that's very valuable on job boards, but have keywords. Don't just put customer service representative, right? As the title of the job when you post and think, great, I'm done. It's all algorithms. So put those keywords in that posting as many times as you possibly can, 3, 4, 5, 6, because when candidates search, it's based on an algorithm. So the more times you have that, the more prominent those words are, the higher you're going to be on those search results as a company. So that's really important. But no company should ever just be stuck in that, well, we did it that way at work. Now we're good, Try 6 or 7 different things at every and any given time for every position. See what works, track it. A lot of companies make the mistake and they don't track the data. You have to know where your applicants are coming from and the recruiting funnel. So recruiting funnels really are always should be like this, right? Just like your typical funnel. And you're going to have way more at the top end than you do at the very bottom, even if it's an evergreen role that you're always hiring for. So you really, just want to make sure that you are spreading that out. You're tracking that data so you can clearly come back and say to anyone who asks, and so you know where to spend your funds, this source worked for this role. This source worked for this role. This one didn't. So maybe we try it again in the fall. Maybe it's a seasonal thing. That is a reality. You're going to have those ebbs and flows with recruiting. So you want to just always track the data and just understand where people are coming from, how long it's taking you to hire them. When people are saying no, why are they saying no? Maybe you need to adjust something internally. Maybe it's a pay rate. Maybe it's taking too long to hire. You gotta be quick. This is not a long game when you're looking to hire someone. This is a pick up the phone, call them, get them in the door, same day, next day, and then get them in front of the hiring manager or the next, step in the process. So keep it short, keep it simple, and keep it quick.
And that is something, Teresa, that I can second that we've certainly found is I think that maybe later last year or earlier this year as our process was a little bit too long. Well, when it's too long, they are getting multiple interviews and multiple job offers a day. And so you are competing. I mean, just drive down the street and point at any business that you see, and that's who you're competing against because they need employees and they're looking to hire as well. I like the idea, obviously, of the funnel because our recruiting efforts internally for our employees is absolutely no different than our marketing efforts and our funnel for our customers. And so how much are we spending on Indeed? How much are we spending on YouTube? How much are we spending on Facebook? What is our result? How many applications did we get? Of those applications, how many of them turned into first interviews? Of the first interviews, how many? And so then if you need to hire 9 people by the end of the week or the start of the next week, then and if you're tracking that, then you can say, okay, I need this many applications filled out or first interviews done to be able to get to that 9 hires. And then of the 9 hires, we know that maybe one won't work out the first week. And then inside the first month, we might know that another may not work out for whatever reason. But if you're not tracking those reasons, then you don't know.
You don't know. You're spending money. You don't know where you're spending it, why you're spending it. And, we all have budgets, right? So you got to make sure that you're sticking within that budget and it's a really good ROI for the company.
Sure. So now let's get in, as we kind of round this out, let's get into marketing efforts. Where do people go? How much do we spend? We just talked about budgets. Everyone has got them, but what is your idea of marketing efforts and what should people do?
You said it very, very well a couple of minutes ago when you mentioned that you're marketing for customers and candidates, right? So you got to have that same voice. Again, it goes back to your career site, Indeed, Glassdoor, et cetera. It has to all have the same voice. So when you are marketing to customers, you should take that same philosophy that you want to spread the word. You want people to understand who you are as a company, what you're offering them, and you want to just change the voice a little bit so it resonates with candidates. So if you have a marketing department, which I hope you do, then it should be a very, very joint effort. Recruiting and marketing should be talking constantly. I've had the pleasure of working with a company that had a recruitment marketing department. And it really was a game changer, to be able to have that. But even here, I have an amazing marketing department and we meet very, very regularly. And I throw some crazy ideas out there and say, hey, we should do this. And, they say, okay, let's try it. Why not? Right. So marketing should be professional, but still, I like to have a little fun with it. I want to show candidates the light side of working here because that's the side that they are going to experience, right? The culture. So marketing efforts, again, the mailers, same concept as customers, but you're creating mailers for candidates. You can leave them all kinds of places, depending on your industry and what you're looking for and your social media. That should be a big thing. TikTok is a new fun one that we are starting to delve into. And it's just a great medium, again, to be able to show that fun, light side. Facebook groups is a great place to market. You're looking for maybe those hard to find positions or those kind of, niche positions that maybe Indeed's not going to work for you. Maybe LinkedIn searches aren't going to work for you. So you can sign up for Facebook groups that are specifically for hiring. Every, major city definitely has them. Most towns have them, and you can put up that marketing content that is for candidates. So that's a big one. And I like to have a lot of fun with that.
Well, in social, that is where everyone spends their time. And we kind of have like three generations of social. We have, in my mind, Facebook,
Yep.
And there's a demographic and certainly an age that uses Facebook. There's Instagram, and there's an
Yep.
age that uses that, and there's more. I'm just mentioning kind of the Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, but there are many other platforms similar that those age ranges or demographics may use. And what a great place to be, because that is where your people hang out socially. And online. How has TikTok been going? Have you guys launched any campaigns yet, Teresa, or still kind of dabbling?
So we haven't launched any candidate campaigns, recruiting campaigns, but I actually have a meeting in about an hour about that. We're talking about launching a new one, but we have launched it fairly recently on the customer side because, we do drains and sewers. So that can be really satisfying to watch when, something gets really clean. So we've been doing some of those videos and it's gone over pretty well. So we're really excited about TikTok.
I'll bet you guys are going to go viral here in just a couple of weeks. It's going to be great. So, well, do you have any other last thoughts on marketing as we round at least that piece out? Any other do's or don'ts in marketing, or where people should? I can't imagine but think that it probably depends on what industry you're in and where you are and what type of candidate you're looking for, whether it's frontline or office or mid-level manager or C-suite. You're going to find those people in different places.
Yes, it is not a one size fits all. So it goes with that kind of post and pray, right? You can't just do one thing for every position and think it's going to work, because it's not. So you as a recruiter or hiring manager have to understand where your audience lives. What are they doing? Where are they? And how are you going to be able to connect with them? Because that's what good recruiting is. It is connecting with people on that deeper level, so you want to make the candidate experience as good as you possibly can, because again, it's a human interaction. So one of the things that is really important is, you mentioned earlier, if a candidate, they might be gone in a day, which you're 100% correct on. Candidates are here and then gone. If someone comes back to me and says, hey, I found another job, I'm excited for them. I may be disappointed, right, as a person in the company, but from a personal level, I'm excited for them. So be excited with them, congratulate them on this new opportunity, because you just want to be a good human being, but two, you also, never know who they're going to meet. Who are they going to talk to? You want to make sure it's that good, positive interaction with people. So I think every interaction, marketing wise, just talking to candidates should always be authentic. It should be positive, and, just never be afraid to give a shot at doing something that you think might be crazy. I tell Ellen Rohr all the time, it's a crazy idea. It's really crazy. And not once has she said, that is crazy. She says, do it, So you got to have some fun with it, and just, again, I can't say authentic enough, because that is the main driver of who you are and who you're perceived as. Is, are you authentic? Are you transparent? And are they going to connect with you?
So one question, Teresa, that has kind of come into my mind as we've been talking is, I would love to hear a success story, maybe one of your favorite success stories. In your bio, it says that you love being able to see the difference that it makes in someone's life as you change the trajectory of their life with a good job offer or a solid job offer. As I talk about that, is there any one or any experience that comes to mind that you could share that is just like one that you're really, really proud of?
I think, yes, I've definitely had people come to me after they've gotten hired after a few months saying, you know what, this really made a huge difference in my life. I was able to buy a house. I was able to get married. My kids now have insurance. So there's those. But I think the one that sticks with me the most is a candidate that we actually did not hire. A previous company did not hire this candidate. Afterwards, I let them know, because I'm big on not ghosting people and trying my very, very
closing
best.
Closing
the loop, right? Making sure every candidate is reached out to. And, especially when you've interviewed someone, especially, or spoken to them, you got to close that loop. So I try to be very, very, cognizant of that. But I had a candidate, didn't hire. This person did call, unfortunately, not moving forward, all that good stuff. And they sent me a card in the mail, and I still have the card. And this was years ago, and it was a card with a quote by Maya Angelou. Just basically, it's a famous quote of hers, but essentially, people, the way you make people feel, they're going to forget maybe what you said, but they're not going to forget the way that you made me feel. So for this person to take the time to find that, to send that to me and write this really lovely note, even though we didn't hire that person, was incredibly, incredibly important to me, that I made them feel good, and made an impression like that. So that's my favorite story. I love that one.
Well, and at the end of the day, isn't that what everyone wants to feel, is just good and light and happy? And what a neat way to be able to know that you can do that, whatever profession you're in. You can do that in the pest control business, which I'm in. You can do that in recruiting. There's no shortages of ways that you can do that, making people feel felt and feel good. So
yeah.
Teresa, thank you so much for your time. I want to give you the final word. Is there anything else that you would like to share to those that are listening as it relates to recruiting, how they may improve it, other things not to do, or just in general, what's kind of going on in the recruiting space right now?
I think recruiting, always make it a team effort, always communicate, make sure that you're having regular meetings with everybody involved. That's really important. So no one's in kind of that information silo. I definitely see that, where people just aren't communicating as well as they could be. For hiring managers, give feedback to your recruiter. Whoever is picking up the phone, calling people, interviewing people, give them feedback. That is so important. And sometimes people don't want to hurt feelings, which is admirable, but recruiters can't do their job effectively if they're not getting feedback, and they're not knowing how to maybe change this particular thing or that particular thing. So I think that is, I tell every hiring manager that I work with, give me feedback. If you think I'm crazy for putting that person in front of you, I want to know that you think I'm crazy for doing that and why. And then I can be more effective in my role. So communication, feedback, I think those are two of the really important things. And if you're doing those two things well in every aspect of your life, you have a much better chance of being successful than if you operate in a silo and think everyone's going to know what's on your mind, because no one is going to know what's on your mind unless you speak that. So
awesome. Teresa, thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you so much for your time. I know it's very limited and very valuable, and we have a lot of recruiting to do today, and you've carved out some time to spend it with me and my guests. So thank you so much.
thank you so much.
And thank you everybody for listening. These will drop every Thursday. Until then, create a great day.
Thank you for listening to the Multiply You podcast. You'll see us again soon when you subscribe for future episodes.